I hope you all enjoyed the extra hour this morning. I did. And a great welcome to all of you who have come for Dad's Weekend. There's many fathers, mothers, grandparents. It's great to have you with us. Welcome to St. Augustine's. I want to ask you a simple question. Have you in the last month, few months, last year, ever asked yourself or said to yourself, I should probably pray more? Have you at all said to yourself or thought, I want to be more spiritual. I want to be a holier person? If you answered yes to that, then listen up, right? That's what I want to talk about today, is how to be a more prayerful and spiritual person. I really love this story with Zacchaeus, because what we see there is a man who desires to see Jesus. That's biblical talk for he wants to know the Lord. But what we see right away is that Jesus is the one who initiates the relationship. Zacchaeus climbed a tree, but then Jesus said, Zacchaeus, I'm going to your house. Did you notice that? There was no invitation from Zacchaeus. Jesus just broke into his world and said, I'm staying at your house today. That's what the church would call in spiritual writing the invasion of grace into our lives. Jesus wants to invade our life with grace. He wants to break in that we would know Him and then know God, right? And by knowing God, we would have this relationship by the power of the Spirit and be with Him forever. We would grow in holiness. So grace invades, right? It just shows up sometimes. I'm staying with you. Okay, come on in. And our response is, okay, come in, Lord. The same thing happened with St. Peter. Do you remember in this same gospel, Luke's gospel in chapter 5, when Jesus encountered Simon, the fisherman? Remember that story? They were hanging out after fishing all night, mending their nets, and Jesus shows up and he says, I'm getting in your boat. Okay, come on in. And Jesus stood in his boat and taught from there. And then Jesus said, hey, put out into deep water. Okay, cast your nets here. Fine. Jesus was just ordering him around left and right. That is that spiritual language of Jesus invading our lives with grace. He wants to break into our lives. And sometimes we need Him to do that. Right? Because we all want to pray more, but we don't. We all want to be holier, but we're not. And so God isn't going to stand by and just watch. He's going to show up and say, I'm coming over. I'm breaking in. But He doesn't break in as a thief. He's coming as our Lord and Redeemer. But that at the same time, we have to open ourselves up to God. Because in the end, He's not going to overwhelm us and go against us. He respects our freedom. So Zacchaeus could have said to his invitation, I'm coming over. No, you're not. And Jesus wouldn't have come. But Zacchaeus received Him with joy, it said. I want to invite all of you to go on a journey with us, a 33-day retreat, starting the 5th of November. And it's a retreat that you can do on your own, or you can do it in a group. Your fourth day can do it. Your dorm buddies can do it. It's a 33-day retreat. And it's the technical name for it is a consecration to Mary. Now, some people, when they hear things like that, they start to freak out a little bit. I want to explain what a consecration to Mary is. In the bulletin is a flyer that has lots of information about it. After Mass, Katie, our campus minister, will be next door to offer more explanations or answer questions. We have books available. But what a consecration to Mary is, essentially is this. I'm going to adopt a Marian spirituality. That does not mean that Mary is God. That does not mean that we don't need Jesus. It's quite the opposite. A spirituality is an approach to Jesus. So, for example, somebody could have an Ignatian spirituality. Ignatius is a man, but he had a spirituality to help people come to Jesus. There's Franciscan spirituality. St. Francis had a particular way to approach God. Well, did Mary have a spirituality? In fact, what we see in the Bible is that Mary is held up as one of the most and greatest spiritual women or men. She was the greatest of them all. Let me explain. Mary was very open to God's grace. In Luke's gospel, when the angel Gabriel comes to Mary, now remember, angels are messengers for God. That's what the word angel means. They're literally messengers, so they speak for God. So in a certain sense, it's like God speaking to these people. And so the angel, or thus God, says to Mary, "Hail, full of grace." Now that's a really strange greeting. Because what God was saying to her is that she is already filled up with grace. Well, I thought that we get grace from Jesus' death and resurrection, don't we? How was this woman already declared by God to be filled with grace before Jesus was ever born? We'll talk more about that at the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. Okay? But here's this woman that is very open to grace. And God offered an invitation to her for a mission. And she responded beautifully. Let's compare her to some of the other great heroes of the Bible. Do you remember Moses? Moses goes to the burning bush. And God says, "Moses, go and free my people." I'm paraphrasing, right? "Go to Egypt and free my people." And Moses says something like, "I've got a tea time down there with Jethro. I'm not sure if I'm your guy. I don't speak very well. I got a hangnail. I don't know if you want me." I'm being a little silly, but he didn't really want to do it. How about Jeremiah, for example? Jeremiah, when God called him, "Jeremiah, I want you to be a prophet to the nations." "I don't think you really want me to be a prophet to the nations. I'm kind of young. I'm not that smart. I don't think you want me." How about Isaiah? "Isaiah, I want you to go and be my prophet, speak to the people." "No, I don't think you want me, God. I'm not your guy." Excuse, excuse, excuse. Jonah, I want you to go to the Ninevites and preach to the people. What does Jonah do? He gets in a boat and goes in the opposite direction. And then there's Mary. "Mary, I want you to be the mother of the Most High God." "I'll do it." No running away, no excuses. "I'm your woman." And I think the angels were like, "Dang. Yeah. Finally." The church has held Mary up in great esteem. In the 3rd chapter of the book of Genesis, Satan has just duped Eve. Sin has entered the world, but God instantly enters with a prophecy. He said to the serpent, "I'm going to put enmity between your offspring and hers. You're going to strike at her heel, and she's going to strike at your head." That is, that there's going to be a new Eve someday, just like there's going to be a new Adam. And St. Paul says that Jesus Christ is the new Adam. So who's the new Eve? Mary. And she crushes the serpent's head. Jesus is the Lord, but she has a powerful role. She has a powerful spirituality. She's full of grace. She knew God very well. Grace literally invaded her life. And I don't know about you, and I don't know about the rest of you men, but I know that I will never know what it's like to have that kind of intimacy with another person in terms of a baby in the womb. Jesus was in Mary's womb. That's some serious intimacy, some one-on-one time with the divine. And then Mary raised Jesus. And I think Jesus raised Mary. There's a Marian spirituality that's been handed on through the church, just like there's Ignatian spirituality and Franciscan. What we want to invite you onto is to do a 33-day retreat with Marian spirituality. And there's a book that I invite you to use. We have them available. It's called 33 Days to Morning Glory. It's an updated version of the St. Louis de Marie Montfort's Total Consecration. You can use that one too. We have both of them. And it's a little booklet that helps you every day spend like 10 minutes praying. It guides you through some prayers, learning the spirituality of this wonderful saint, coming to know myself even more, so that what? I will be open to the invading grace of Christ who's come to set me free. That I can be holy. That's what it's all about. Because we can sometimes get a little worried, like, I don't want to be one of those, weird Marian people. That being said, if you want to pretty much ensure your face being on a holy card someday, I suggest you adopt a Marian spirituality. Mother Teresa did. John Paul II did. John the 23rd did. Teresa of Lisieux did. Francis of Assisi did. You just name them. So take a look at this insert that's in the bulletin. We're going to start on November 5th. And you can do it from your home. You can do it from your dorm room. You can gather with friends and do it together. We're going to have meetings here. Like if we're going to, on a Thursday afternoon, we're going to have grilled cheese lunch. And whoever wants to join us, and we're going to have a little support group, and then we're going to pray together. You do it however you wish. And then we're going to end with a retreat. And the retreat's going to come to a grand conclusion on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. We'll have a special Mass and consecrate ourselves. That we would be consecrated. Now, the word consecrated means set apart. That's what it means to be consecrated. The chalice at Mass is consecrated, which means it's set apart. I don't use that chalice for drinking coffee in the morning. Why? Because it's consecrated. It's set apart. You and I have been consecrated in baptism and confirmation. We need to remember that sometimes. We do this consecration that my life is about something different. Because what did I say? I want to be more prayerful and holy. Yeah, which means I have to set my life apart for something greater. And this is just a way to help you with that. If you would like to do it, great. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. It's just a way that we're all trying to engage the spiritual life because all of us want to be more prayerful and more holy. And if you can do it in your own way, that's fine too. Okay? But I just want to invite you to do all of this together, if you wish. Jesus wants to break into your life. And he's going to break into all of our lives in his own way. But in the end, we all have to respond and say, come on in. If you have any questions about this, feel free to talk with me or our campus minister, Katie, before Mass, after Mass, or get our email or call us. We'd love to walk through you, whether it's this retreat or something else. We want you to have a relationship with Jesus that's meaningful, enduring, that leads you to holiness and life everlasting.